Well, there was an interesting story that came up, and we have to bring it up on Truth Be Told, about the fact that thousands of tons of gold was discovered in Uttar Pradesh, and everybody's going to become very rich. It's amazing how we all want a shortcut to become very rich. And this story was put out first by ANI and then by PTI, and then almost every single news organization also picked it up and put it out. And finally then we understood that it's not true. And that's something that should worry us, because if nobody checked and nobody stopped for a second to do a fact check, that doesn't leave our media in very good light. Ashish Chaudhary is in the studio with me from Boom. Thanks for joining me. Hello. So, how did this happen?
So it all started with the UP Directorate of Geology and Mining, and specifically the District Mining Officer KK Rai, who gave this quote stating that, he gave this quote to ANI stating that the estimates are around 2,900 tons to 600 tons and in two areas, and overall it comes to 3,300 tons, which is huge. Which is
of
like
ore though, he did say ore.
No, the gold deposit.
He said gold deposit.
He said gold deposit, that's the issue.
Okay.
And then the news media just picked it up, and the worrying part is this amount is too big and it's just too good to be true. And usually right now in the state that we are in, if it's too good to be true, it just
Something
isn't.
is wrong with it.
Yeah, it probably isn't true. So yeah, I mean, what beats us is this: how did mining beat reporters not, catch a whiff of, that something is wrong? Because right now the biggest gold mine is in Indonesia, which has produced now 33 ton of gold, which is the biggest. So it would be 1,000 times bigger than the biggest mine.
Than the biggest one.
That's just too good. That's too big.
It's impossible to have not been discovered until now. So
Exactly.
that's something we should worry about. And then the Geological Survey of India clarified in another press
I
release.
mean, not even a day passed, and in the evening they sent out a press release stating, and they gave all the calculation. They said that the ore is around 52,800 tons, and how much can be extracted per ton is around 3 grams, which comes to 160 kilos, which is about right for a mine. That's a more accurate number. But yeah, it's a huge difference.
It's a huge difference from what was being promised.
Yeah.
And nevertheless, I mean, the thing that we must clarify here is that, let's assume if an ore is discovered and there is gold in the ground, even if it's 100 kgs, who does that gold belong to?
I guess it's the state that takes charge, and the state gives the lease out to mining companies, and then the state has this gold, and eventually obviously the center and the state is involved here, and it's divided. And yeah, I mean UP would become a very rich state if this much gold was discovered. I mean, no doubt. But and a lot of headlines did say that, Yogi Adityanath strikes gold, and that was one of the headlines by Financial Express. But sadly, they did strike gold, but not as much as they thought.
Not as much as they thought they would. And of course, all of the attributes of why Yogi Adityanath managed to get the gold is something that should worry us. And you saw a lot of forwards and things going on.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of link being made with the ruling by Supreme Court on Ram Mandir, that they have cleared the way for Ram Mandir, and therefore you have all this gold, which is absurd. It feels great if you want to make such predictions and prophecies, but in real life it just doesn't happen like that.
And just if this is common knowledge that out of 1 ton of ore you will extract 3 grams of gold finally, to assume that we had 3,300, so 3,350 tons of gold. I mean, for anyone with common sense should have realized you'd have to be dredging up like a really
Mount Everest.
really large tract of land to be able to actually.
So that's what beats us. Like, how did people not recognize that? Because when we first saw it, it was like, okay, let's just wait on this. Like, this is too good to be true. Something is gonna happen, and something was weird about the story, And yeah, naturally, it took us a couple of hours, and then we found out the truth. It's just not what it is.
Well, so it's a funny story to laugh at now, but in retrospect, it should also really worry us about the state of affairs with our media, because people just put out the story without thinking twice. So first ANI and PTI picked it up and pushed it, and then everybody else picked it up and quoted ANI, saying, okay, if you quote ANI, it's fine, and we don't have to worry about it anymore. But the application of common sense is apparently no longer common.
Yeah, it shows how muddy the information circuit is. It's just so much bad information. We tend to pick up the one that we like the most and not what's true. And it's confirmation bias at play, and the media is definitely a victim of that too.
All right, so remember now, just raise one eyebrow and be slightly skeptical about everything you read, because that's unfortunately the world we live in at this point. All right, Ashish, always cool to have a chat with you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. All right, remember, on Truth Be Told, if you want us to look at any other story, leave us a comment and give us your feedback. I'd be very happy to hear your feedback on the show, and if there's anything you particularly want us to look at on the show. Thanks for watching.